We just heard about the role of the Pacific Island Forum, really being this vehicle that mobilizes political leaders together to figure out ways to collectively achieve resilience and prosperity throughout the Pacific. Of course, the Kingdom of Tonga serves as the chair of the Pacific Island Forum this year, which commenced last August in Tonga at the 53rd Pacific Island Forum. And what's exciting about being here with both of you is oftentimes we talk about the importance of coming together and making connections and those relationships evolving into partnerships. But oftentimes that, that's harder to do than to say. And the two of you actually represent a tangible example of a success story. Of course, Matthew, you were here at EarthX last year. That led to a chance meeting with the Tonga delegation, represented by then Prime Minister Sovaleni and Ambassador Tone. And that initial conversation of really showcasing, Matthew, what Inventwood does, snowballed into a signing ceremony in Tonga at the 53rd Pacific Island Forum. But let's get a better understanding of exactly what that partnership will accomplish and what Inventwood is. Now, I'm going to tee up my understanding of Inventwood, Matthew, and I'd love for you to take that and build off of it. But when you were here at EarthX, you were showcasing a product, wood-based, that is stronger, lighter, and less expensive than steel. You received, I believe, a $20 million grant from the US government a few years ago, which represented about 20% of the overall grant given out to sustainability companies during the last administration. Help us understand exactly what this product is and how it came to be.
Thank you, Matt. Happy to do so. The origins of this go back to 2016, when an inventor out of University of Maryland, Liam Wu, developed a unique application that takes feedstock of any kind of wood, applies a chemical process and a densification process, and the product that's created is something that's very, very, very sturdy, strong, something that mankind has actually never held before. It's essentially creating a very hard wood product out of something that's a lower end feedstock with a lower value. So what does that mean exactly in practice? Well, the final result leaves you with something that's wildly resilient to termites, because it starves termites. They can't get into it. It's too hard for them to bite because it's so hard. Because you're removing the volume, the air, the water, it's Class A fire rated, so it doesn't catch or spread flames. It's ballistic tested, actually, for hurricane situations. It'll stop flying objects. It's actually, we've tested it ourselves with high-powered rifles, etc. It's just a truly unique new use and application for wood products. And we thought, the two of us thought, and we brought in our esteemed colleagues to discuss this, how would the applications help with some of the island nations and what they're facing on an ongoing basis. It's one thing to rebuild a home using the normal materials, but if you could actually rebuild it with something that's going to last many, many times longer, there's an immediate value proposition there it's hard to ignore. And we can show you a little bit what that looks like.
Yeah, and what I love about what Inventwood is doing is obviously, as a company, you're focused on the global commercialization of your product. That's the objective. But I think the ethos of Inventwood, for me at least, was really driven home about really how your company was willing to prioritize finding a way to have the applications of what it's doing actually support those countries and communities on the front lines of climate change. And so with that, I'd love, Ambassador Tone, if you could jump in. I'm curious from your standpoint, going back, a year ago this week when you were first really exposed to what Inventwood was, if you can help, really help educate our audience about what the promise of Inventwood represents for you and the Kingdom of Tonga, given the challenges that you face.
Thank you very much, Matt. If I maybe just start with the concept of partnership that we mentioned so many times this morning and all this afternoon, before I come back to your question, I can remember being part of the delegation of our former Prime Minister to EarthX last year. And through you, another story of partnership that takes us back several years to my attending of EarthX, maybe in 2019. Mm-hmm. And through you, you brought Matthew Hornor to meet with our then Prime Minister last year, in May last year. And so that he gave a very good brief about metalwood, I think it's called Superwood now, and his company Inventwood. And so that led to the signing of the agreement in Tonga when the forum was conducted in Tonga in August. Mm. So again, that speaks volume about partnership. One, through you, we met with Matthew Hornor and his company. He gave the brief to the then Prime Minister, and that led to the signing of the agreement. And so I just want to register again and again the importance of partnership. With Matthew Hornor, we have yet to see the manufacturing company, manufacturing plan, by the way, but he did show us the video of metalwood, superwood. So we are seeing that is music to our ears. Every time we talk about resiliency, whether it's in Tonga or in the region, there is the primacy of resiliency for construction, for how to face the next cyclone and so forth. With Inventwood, we're seeing the products of Inventwood being of great utility for the construction of resilient school buildings or hospitals or facade to strengthen the buildings in Tonga. So we see it as a big plus. And so I'm happy to say that I've been in a discussion with Matthew about visiting the manufacturing plant in Maryland in early May. So we're talking about the 6th of May to be able for myself and my team to visit the plant so that we can see, maybe not the production yet, I think they have a schedule for that, but just seeing the plant and receiving a brief from them would be of great value to us. Yeah. Because the next step is for us to talk to some potential construction group back in Tonga to see how we can start the project rolling, because the idea here is for Tonga to pilot a project so that our Prime Minister as chair can report to the leaders in their next meeting in September in Honiara, right, so that it can scale up. We've been talking about piloting project, which is a very first and necessary step in the development, sustainable development. And then once you are successful, then you propagate that, you scale up and propagate it to other islands, to SIDS. So this is a project not just for Tonga, but for SIDS in general. Well,
and Ambassador, what I've loved about kind of your approach to impact and partnerships has always been, having, understanding the role of Tonga almost being a laboratory to prove models, and then using that as an opportunity to replicate and scale them both across the Pacific region, but also SIDS around the world. If Tonga, of course, we talked about the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity. Kingdom of Tonga was the first government to formally join that. And now you've spearheaded, countless others who followed suit. I'm very hopeful that Inventwood will represent another partnership opportunity of both proving it in Tonga, replicating across the Pacific, and of course around the world. But Matthew, seeing is believing, which is so exciting about them coming to the manufacturing facility next month. With that, let me throw up the gorgeous slide that you recently shared, and if you could kind of walk our audience through what they're looking at.
Sure. So what are we talking about? What does this actually look like in practice? This is a mock-up of a typical kind of island structure based on some photographs that we took when we were down in Tonga. The doors, as you can see, the top left area, it resists warping, swelling, and rot. Very strong, very sturdy, kind of made out of wood, so it's not a metal product. We can create I-beams out of this product, again, based on wood, not metal, support very heavy loads, maintaining the form, traditional form, where normal mass timber wouldn't actually do the job. Far less volume required to provide multiples of the strength. Siding, of course, you mentioned that, insect resistant, fire rated, moisture tolerant. And again, the hurricane prone regions could benefit dramatically from this because you have boards and things flying through the air at great speeds. And I think people can sleep better at night knowing that their walls are, in a light, non-obtrusive way, much more resilient to those types of impacts. The other thing that is often used in engineering and architecture for island nations are these floating floors, also in the African nations, in areas where you don't need a lot of material, but you want a lighter structure that has the capability for breezes and everything else. So you have these floating floors. By that, there's not a structure beneath the floor. Oftentimes, the wood that's used over time will decay, rot, and you can step through those, and it can be problematic. My brother who lives in Kenya, they had a house that happened, actually. So using this material would allow it to be very resistant to denting, termites, mold growth, and be very secure and stable for a longer period of time. So these are just a few of the ideas on what the applications might look like, and of course there are many, many more. Going forward, some of the roofing could be, if you're worried about fire, and the collaboration with Ambassador Tone and the group down there going forward, we're really excited about coming together with some initial pilot projects around a community center or schools to show really what it actually can do, and again, having that be the jumping off point for many, many more like it, both in the region and globally.
Matthew, when you were here last year, you brought a product as kind of like, it was almost like a magic trick. You know, it was like this small rod, and I saw people kind of going around trying to bend this this piece of wood.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at this, it's really hard to kind of wrap your mind around the fact that this is both stronger and lighter than steel.
Mm-hmm. Tensile strength, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think, obviously there's a focus on the front lines, but as part of the Island Resilience Summit, we have a delegation of family offices that are joining us too. Can you talk about, as you balance, as an entrepreneur, this balancing act of both, applying your product to the front lines in ways that reinforce, one of the reasons why you're doing this in the first place, but also, talk about the trajectory of you as a company and what that looks like as you build and manufacture this product to scale that around the world.
Sure. The application of this technology to traditional feedstock and timber and lumber cannot be overstated. Because what you're essentially doing is you're taking, for example, a poplar or southern yellow pine and making it a dramatically more valuable product, like Ipe or something that's a very hardwood, Class A, fire rated, et cetera. So what that can do globally is to transform what usually just ends up in a fire pit or in a very low-end application into something that's can be the majority of the construction material required for rebuilding and building out a lot of the areas around the world. So that's in short what we're talking about. The CEO of the company is formerly with Weyerhaeuser, a multi-billion-dollar wood timber corporation. What we do with wood is we improve on many, many levels, strength, durability, resiliency, Class A fire rated, things that normally is not possible with any kind of wood structure. So applying that globally in areas that have feedstock and timber that are essentially just going to put it into the air and create just burn it, which of course we know what happens then. It is truly transformative and disruptive in the space.
Well, Ambassador, I'd love for you to kind of close this out. One of the kind of the key language used during the Samoa pathway was this idea of genuine, durable partnerships. When you look at the partnership that the Kingdom of Tonga has built with the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity and with Inventwood, I'm curious, what does genuine, durable partnerships mean to you, having now been in this role as UN ambassador for the better part of a decade, and having gone through a number of partnerships? I'm curious what that means to you.
Thank you, Matt. I think it really means a lot. And I find that great optimism when I'm here amongst this gathering. I find that in the United Nations, of course, we do a lot of dialogue at the political level, whether it's delivering statements or having meetings. But I feel that there is a gap in terms of a deep desire in us as diplomats, as representatives of our countries and governments, to see something tangible on the ground. But when I talk to like Matthew Hornor, yourself, Matt, and potentially, of course, I look forward to meeting with other potential partners, is that possibility which is very near when I'm in this gathering. I see a lot of enthusiasm. I sat next to someone at the luncheon hour, and he was so enthusiastic about sharing his area of expertise and the potential for doing something together. So I find it of great value. Something that I can see a swift transformation on the ground to the people in my country. So I would like to see that continuing, and I find that optimism in this gathering. So I hope to talk to some more potential partners going forward. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much. Matthew, thank you for both joining us.